Hello everyone and welcome back to Next Door. In our last episode, Nathan was furious at Hayes and ranch security for losing Ty from a supposedly secure council facility. He searched every piece of security footage, finding nothing showing how Ty left. He contacted every resource to search Montana desperately. Meanwhile, the FBI accidentally extracted Ty when he drove alone to town for emergency veterinary supplies. An unexpected opportunity. Agents Walsh and Chen approached Ty claiming to be federal agents, but Ty didn't understand and tried to flee back to the ranch. They used chloroform to subdue him, transported the unconscious Ty to the Elkridge safe house where Lou was waiting. Agent Morrison warned Lou that when Ty wakes, he'll think he's been kidnapped, not rescued. The episode ended with Ty waking up confused and terrified in an unfamiliar room. Agent Morrison told him his name is Ty Borden. He was kidnapped years ago by criminals. His memory was erased, and nothing he believes about himself is real. Ty's face showed the beginning of terrible understanding as his entire reality crumbled. If you've been devastated by Ty's situation, please hit that like button and subscribe. Today's episode shows the immediate aftermath of Ty learning the impossible truth about his identity. He's confused, terrified, and convinced these people are the criminals, not his rescuers. The FBI can't fully explain who they are without compromising their ongoing investigation, and a heated debate will break out about whether Ty is truly a victim or potentially working with Nathan. In the chaos of conflicting theories and rising tensions, Ty will see his chance to escape from what he believes is a kidnapping. This is episode 56, and Ty Borden is about to run Elkridge safe house. Ty stood up from the bed, his body shaking with adrenaline and fear. Agent Morrison had just told him his entire life was a lie. And now she was watching him with that calm, professional expression that made Ty want to scream. No, this is insane. You're insane. I want to leave. I want to leave right now. Ty, please sit down. We need to talk about this calmly. Stop calling me Ty. My name is Noah Smith, and you kidnapped me from my job. You drugged me. That's illegal. That's assault. He moved toward the door, but Agent Walsh stepped into the doorway, blocking his exit. Ty's panic spiked, seeing the large man preventing him from leaving. Get out of my way. Let me go. I have rights. You do have rights and we're protecting them. But we can't let you return to Silver Creek Ranch. That facility is run by criminals who've been holding you prisoner. I work there. They pay me. I have a room there, friends there. A job I'm good at. That's not prison. That's a life. A life they constructed for you after erasing your real memories. Noah Smith isn't real, Ty. He's an identity the council created to control you. Ty grabbed his head with both hands, feeling like his skull might split open from the pressure. These people kept saying the same impossible things, kept insisting his reality was false, kept calling him by a name that meant nothing to him. If I'm this Ty Borden person, if I have a wife and daughter, then where are they? Why aren't they here? Why are you here instead of them? The questions seemed to catch Agent Morrison off guard. She hesitated before answering, because we had to extract you before we could safely contact your family. Because telling them you're alive would raise questions we're not ready to answer publicly. Because this situation is complicated and we're trying to protect everyone involved, including you. That doesn't make sense. If you're really federal agents trying to help me, you'd let me call someone. You'd let me verify who you are. You'd give me choices. Instead, you kidnapped me, drugged me, locked me in a room, and told me crazy stories about false identities. He was shouting now, his voice echoing off the walls. Agent Morrison remained calm, but Ty could see the other agents tensing, preparing for him to do something unpredictable. What do you want from me? Money? Information? What is this really about? We want to help you recover your real life, your real memories, your real family. That's all we want, Ty. Stop calling me that. He grabbed the lamp from the bedside table and threw it across the room. It smashed against the wall, making everyone flinch. Agent Walsh moved closer to restrain him, but Agent Morrison held up a hand to stop him. Ty, we understand you're scared and confused. That's completely normal given what you've been through. But destroying property and acting violently isn't going to help. acting violently. You drugged me. You kidnapped me. And now you're telling me I'm the one acting inappropriately. He was breathing hard, feeling trapped like a cornered animal. These people had complete control over him. He was in an unfamiliar location, didn't know where he was, had no way to call for help, no way to escape unless he could get past them to the door. Ty's eyes flicked to the doorway where Agent Walsh stood. If he could somehow get past the agent, get out of this room, maybe he could find a phone or another exit or someone who would help him. But Agent Walsh was big, alert, and clearly trained for exactly this kind of situation. Ty wouldn't get past him through force. He needed them distracted. Lou sat in the living room, her hands clenched in her lap, listening to Ty shouting from the secured bedroom. Every word was a knife to her heart. He was so scared, so confused, and she couldn't do anything to help him. Agent Morrison had been right. Ty needed professionals to help him, not emotional family members who would complicate an already impossible situation. But it hurt. God, it hurt listening to him deny his identity, insist he was Noah Smith, beg to be released from what he believed was a kidnapping. The living room door opened and 3 more FBI agents entered, members of the headquarters team who'd been coordinating the broader investigation. Lou recognized Agent Stevens, a senior investigator who'd been skeptical of Lou's involvement from the beginning. Where's Marson? We need to discuss the Ty Borden situation immediately. Lou stood defensive already. She's in the bedroom with Ty trying to calm him down. He's terrified and confused, which is completely understandable given what he's been through. Or he's acting exactly like a council operative would act when extracted by federal agents. Playing victim, claiming false memory, trying to get us to lower our guard. Lou felt anger spike. You think Ty is counsel? You think this is an act? Did you not read the intelligence reports? Ty Borden was a horse trainer at Heartland Ranch. He was Amy's husband. He disappeared for years ago and everyone thought he died. The council captured him and erased his memory. That's one theory. Another theory is that Ty Borden willingly joined the council 5 years ago, faked his death, and has been working with them ever since. The memory erasure story could be covered. Agent Walsh emerged from the bedroom, clearly having overheard the conversation. That's ridiculous. We have evidence of Ty's kidnapping, evidence of the council's memory eraser operations, evidence that he's been held at Silver Creek Ranch as Noah Smith with no memory of his past, evidence that could be manufactured. Stevens, you've been emotionally compromised by your connection to this case. You want Ty to be an innocent victim because that fits your narrative about protecting your sister's family. But we need to consider all possibilities, including the one where Ty is a threat. Lou felt like she'd been slapped. A threat. Ty Borden loved Amy and Lindy more than anything in the world. He would never work with criminals. He would never fake his death and abandon his family. You don't know him. Neither do you. Apparently, because the Ty you knew disappeared for years ago. We have no idea who he is now or what the council might have done to him beyond memory erasure. He could have been conditioned. He could have been turned. He could be exactly what the council wants him to be, a sleeper agent we just brought into federal custody. Agent Chen joined the argument, her voice sharp with anger. Ty isn't a sleeper agent. He's a trauma victim who needs help, not interrogation and suspicion. We extracted him from a criminal facility where he was being held prisoner. That makes him a rescue, not a threat. You extracted him on impulse with no planning and no authorization beyond a split-second phone call to Morrison, Agent Stevens countered. You acted emotionally, not strategically. And now we have a man in our custody who might be exactly what the council wanted us to take. A Trojan horse. The bedroom door opened, and Agent Morrison emerged, looking exhausted. She immediately saw the tension in the room. What's going on out here? We need to discuss whether Ty Borden is a victim or a threat, Stevens replied. I'm recommending we treat him as a potential hostile until we can verify his story through extensive interrogation and evaluation. Interrogation? Lou exclaimed. He's a trauma victim who needs medical and psychological help. He's a man with erased memory who worked at a council facility for months. We need to know what he knows about their operations, their personnel, their activities. We need to interrogate him before we decide he's harmless. Lou couldn't stay quiet anymore. You want to interrogate someone who's already been traumatized, someone who doesn't even remember who he is. That's cruel and counterproductive. That's proper investigative procedure, Miss Fleming, Stevens snapped. We don't just accept people's stories at face value. We verify through rigorous questioning. If Ty really has no memory, interrogation won't hurt him. If he's pretending, interrogation will expose the inconsistencies. This is insane. Ty isn't a suspect. He's a victim. Then proving that through questioning should be simple. Stevens shot back. Morrison paused, torn, clearly conflicted between her instinct to protect Ty and the procedural argument Stevens was making. Let me talk to him first. Let me assess his mental state and whether he's capable of handling questions right now, with respect. Your assessment is compromised by your operational relationship with Miss Fleming. You've been too close to this case. I should conduct the interrogation with fresh eyes. The argument escalated, voices rising. Lou, Agent Walsh, and Agent Chen argued that Ty needed compassion and medical help, while Agent Stevens and his team insisted that Ty needed interrogation and verification. Agent Morrison tried to mediate, but it was clear she was struggling with her own doubts. Ty stood near the door, listening to the raised voices coming from the living room. He couldn't make out all the words, but he could hear the anger, the disagreement, the tension. They were arguing about him, about what to do with him. One voice, a woman who wasn't the agent who'd been talking to him, kept saying he needed help and medical care. Another voice, a man, kept talking about interrogation and verification. Interrogation, the word made Ty's blood run cold. These people wanted to interrogate him. About what? He didn't know anything except how to train horses and his life at Silver Creek Ranch. Unless they thought he knew something else. Unless they believed the crazy story about him being someone named Ty Borden who had information about criminals. Ty pressed his ear against the door, trying to hear more clearly. The argument was getting louder, more heated. Perfect. While they were distracted, fighting about him, maybe he could escape. He slowly turned the doorknob. It wasn't locked. Agent Morrison had left in such a hurry to deal with whatever was happening in the living room that she hadn't secured the door. This was his chance. Maybe his only chance. He opened the door a crack, peering out. He could see the living room from here. Multiple people arguing, all focused on each other, none of them looking toward the bedroom. And beyond them, he could see another door, an exit door. The way out of this nightmare. Ty took a deep breath, trying to calm himself enough to think clearly. If he ran for that door, they'd see him immediately. They'd chase him, catch him, probably restrain him so he couldn't try again. But if he waited for the perfect moment, when they were all completely absorbed in their argument, when none of them were looking his direction, he might make it. The argument had reached a fever pitch. Lou was in Agent Stevens's face now, her professional composure completely gone. You don't know anything about Ty Borden. You don't know what kind of person he was, what kind of husband and father he was. You're treating him like a criminal when he's a victim, and you're treating him like family when you need to be objective. Your sister's feelings are clouding your judgment. Lou's judgment was fine. It's your paranoia that's the problem. Not everyone is a council operative. Some people are actually innocent victims. And some victims get turned by their captors. Stockholm Syndrome, conditioning, brainwashing. It happens. We need to verify that Ty hasn't been compromised. Agent Morrison stepped between them, her voice sharp. Enough. All of you. This isn't helping. We need to make a decision based on evidence and procedure, not emotion and speculation. The evidence says Ty is innocent, Lou countered. He was kidnapped. His memory was erased. He was held at a council facility. That's victim, not accomplice. The evidence says Ty was at a council facility and has no memory. The interpretation of that evidence is what we're debating. And I'm saying we need to verify his story through proper interrogation before we treat him as benign. Lou was shaking with anger and frustration. How would you feel if someone you loved was kidnapped, had their memory erased, and then was interrogated by federal agents who suspected them of being a criminal? How would that feel, Agent Stevens? I'd want the truth verified. I'd want to know for certain they were who they claimed to be. That's what I'm asking for here. You're asking to traumatize a man who's already been through hell. I'm asking to protect federal interests and national security. If Ty Borden is a council operative, bringing him into custody could compromise our entire investigation. The argument raged on, each side deeply entrenched in their positions. While none of them noticed the bedroom door slowly creaking open, Ty, frightened and desperate, was peering out, looking for his chance to escape. Agent Morrison, still trying to mediate, raised her voice to be heard over the argument. We'll compromise. I'll conduct an initial assessment with Ty, asking basic questions about what he remembers and what he knows. If that assessment raises red flags, Agent Stevens can do a more formal interrogation. If it confirms Ty is a victim with genuine memory loss, we proceed with trauma-informed care. Agreed? Lou wanted to argue more, but she could see that Agent Morrison was trying to find middle ground. Reluctantly, she nodded. Fine. But I want to be there when you talk to him. I want to make sure he's treated with dignity and respect. Absolutely not. You're too emotionally involved. Your presence would compromise the assessment. He's my family. He's a potential witness or suspect in a federal investigation. Family doesn't get to sit in on FBI assessments. Lou opened her mouth to argue further when something caught her eye, just a flicker in her peripheral vision, but enough to make her turn her head. The bedroom door was open. Not just a crack, but fully open, and Ty was moving quickly toward the exit door across the room. Ty, stop. Everyone turned at once, seeing Ty as he broke into a run the moment he realized he had been spotted. He reached for the exit door handle, twisting it desperately. Agent Walsh and Agent Chen both started moving toward him, but they were across the room, and Ty had a head start. Agent Stevens reached for his radio to call for backup outside. Lou was closest. She ran toward Ty, her hand outstretched, trying to reach him before he got through the door. Stay away from me. All of you. I don't know what you want, but I'm not staying here. His voice was desperate, terrified. He got the door unlocked. They'd secured it, but in their rush to argue, they'd left the deadbolt undone. The door swung open, revealing the Montana afternoon outside. Ty, please. We're trying to help you. We're not the bad guys. But Ty wasn't listening. He was through the door, his feet hitting the ground as he prepared to run. Lou was right behind him, reaching for his arm, her fingers brushing his sleeve. She almost had him, almost could grab him and pull him back inside where they could explain, where they could make him understand. But Ty was faster, younger, more desperate. He jerked his arm away from Lou's reaching hand and took off running across the open ground around the safe house. Lou stumbled through the doorway after him, Agent Walsh and Agent Chen right behind her. They could see Ty sprinting toward the tree line about 100 yards away, running like his life depended on it. Because, from his perspective, it did. The episode ended with Lou's devastated face, watching Ty running toward the trees. FBI agents coordinated search efforts, made calls to law enforcement, and prepared to track down the man who thought he was escaping kidnappers rather than rescuers. Agent Stevens still insisted Ty might be a council operative faking everything. Agent Walsh and Chen defended Ty as an innocent victim. Agent Morrison was on the phone with headquarters, explaining how their rescue operation had turned into a manhunt. Lou was ordered to pack her belongings and return to New York, removed from the investigation she'd dedicated months to. Everything she'd worked for, everything she'd risked, everything she'd sacrificed, all of it crumbling because Ty was too traumatized to understand he was being helped out in the Montana wilderness. Ty ran without direction or plan, just desperate to get away from the people who had told him his life was a lie. He had no money, no phone, no idea where he was, just fear driving him forward. He'd been Noah Smith, living peacefully at Silver Creek Ranch. Then strangers had drugged him, kidnapped him, told him impossible things about false identities and erased memories. Now he was running through trees, gasping for breath, terror pounding through his veins, free from the safe house, but not free from confusion and fear. The man Amy loved, the father Lindy needed, the husband everyone mourned. He was out there alone, thinking he was saving himself when really, he was lost. And Lou Fleming, helpless, knowing that saving Ty from the council was only the first impossible task. The second was saving him from himself, from his fear, from his lack of memory. From believing the wrong people were his enemies, the rescue had failed. Not because they couldn't extract Ty from council custody, but because once they had him, they couldn't convince him he needed saving. That concludes today's episode. Ty demanded answers, throwing tantrums, extremely unmanageable and terrified. The FBI tried calming him but couldn't fully explain, knowing they risked exposing identities in the mission. Also, the FBI remained uncertain whether Ty's memory was truly erased or if he was pretending to work with Nathan. A heated debate broke out between Liu and her agents, with Walsh and Chen claiming Ty is an innocent victim versus other FBI officers thinking he might be working with Nathan and needing interrogation. Ty, confused,